Hi, this is Naomi with Sword and Steel, and today we are going to be checking out the Adepta Sororitas Sanctorum Guard Battleforce for Warhammer 40,000. I have assembled all of these models, and I am going to tell you any difficulties I had assembling them, what assembly options you have, what the various weapons are like, since there's a whole bunch of different weapon options, and if you're less familiar with what they look like, it might be difficult deciding which weapon to use. So I will show you all of the different weapons so that you know exactly what you're looking for when you make a weapon choice, as well as I'll chat about the magnetization options you have or don't have for each unit. This kit is approximately 885 points or more, depending mostly on how you build your Battle Sister squad, but it is at least that much. Buying the Battle Force also saves you approximately 32% of the cost of getting each of these models separately. The first question I thought about when looking at this kit was whether Morven Val could be played in any of the Sisters' orders without penalty, and the answer is yes, she can be. The perks of being an abbess of the entire Adepta Sororitas. She does not have a particular order, despite her lore being once upon a time with the Order of the Argent Shroud. Let's have a look at her first. So there is only one way to build her, and I was comfortable building her all the way until her shoulder plates, which I ultimately decided not to keep off. However, that is up to you. If you do decide to keep the shoulder plates off, then you'll also want to keep this weapon arm off as well, since the shoulder plate has to be attached to the shoulder before the weapon arm is attached, due to this bracer overlapping the cloth there. So Lady Val has 3 head options. 2 are unhelmeted, where she is either stoic or angry, and 1 sister's helm with a little bit of extra filigree decorating it to keep her apart from a regular sister. I really like the look of this model, and I didn't find a chore at all to put her together. Now, the Paragon Warsuits. These are 2 kits of 3 Paragon Warsuits, so 6 altogether. Each warsuit feels nearly identical to put it together, so by the 6th one, you'll be able to put them together in your sleep. Or you'll be asleep, because they take so long. I'm joking. But they do take some time to assemble, each of them being with several different little tiny parts, so I would suggest some tweezers for these ladies. Though the assembly guide has you attaching specific arms to specific torsos, you can definitely add the sisters' arms to whichever one you want to change them up a little, but the warsuit's arms and the attachments to the warsuit itself are very specific to each warsuit. So make sure you don't start cutting bits off prematurely thinking they are all the same. They are not. Torsos, yes. Arms, not. They need to go to the warsuit they were assigned to. On this arm, you can either be wielding a Paragon Warblade or a Paragon War Mace. As you can see, all of my ladies have the War Mace. I think magnetizing this weapon choice is too much trouble than it's worth, since it magnetizes at the hand, but it can be done. On their shoulders, they can either have 2 Stormbolters, or you can switch the Stormbolters with a Paragon Grenade Launcher. Importantly though, even though you are putting on 2 different little pieces for the Paragon Grenade Launcher, you play as if this model only has 1 grenade launcher. 2 Stormbolters, which would mean Rapid Fire 4 basically, but Assault 2 for the grenade launcher. On their left arm, they have 3 different options. I assembled the options so I can switch one out for the other if I wish, making sure to glue the single arm you get in place. To finish this, you'll need a magnet here and a magnet here to keep it stable. I'll do that before I paint them. To glue them like this, you'll want to glue these 2 pieces together and wait for them to dry completely before trying to glue the rest of it together, and do not glue it to the arm. I repeat, do not glue it to the arm, you only get 1. Important note, I did not glue the arm in place until I had finished each weapon, just in case any of them gave me trouble. It's just easier that way. So you want to hold it in place as it's drying, with this little divot guiding where you should put it. And then hold it there until it has dried, paying close attention to this join because it'll slip if you aren't watching it like a hawk. You can always add a little more plastic glue after its initial glue is dried to give it a more secure hold. Now, let's move to the Celestian Sacrosancts, which are one of my favorite models for the Sisters of Battle. They are so pretty. These 5 ladies are mono-pose, but you can turn their heads in whichever direction you like. Also, they have 2 different weapon options. They can either be wielding anointed halberds or hallowed maces, and as you can see, I have them with the halberds. The maces look like miniature versions of the Paragon Warsuits' maces. Magnetizing the 2 weapon options is surprisingly straightforward, since each weapon has its own arm, and the arm attaches at the shoulder, under the shoulder plate. Both variants use the shield, so you only need 3 magnets per sister to magnetize them, except for the superior. The superior doesn't wield an anointed halberd, but can change its mace to a spear of the faithful, and it too has its own arm and attaches at the shoulder. However, if you want to change up her bolt pistol, that makes it a little more complicated. As you can see, each arm attaches at the shoulder, but you will also need a few more magnets to attach the shield to each type of pistol. For those not familiar with the various pistol, this one is the bolt pistol, this one is the infernal pistol, this one is the plasma pistol, and this one is the Ministorum hand flamer. Why are pistols neat, you might ask? Because unlike other missile weapons on infantry, pistols can be used against models in melee combat. Only on your turn still, let's not get too greedy, but still. Nice. And lastly, we go to the Battle Sisters squad, which could be instead a Celestian squad or a Dominion squad. You're going to be building them mostly the same way. It's the weapons that are going to be changing somewhat. The Battle Sisters are the cheapest to play of the 3, and they have bolt guns with the exception of one that can have a special weapon and one that can have a heavy weapon, if you so choose. The sprue doesn't necessarily have every single various gun that you need to build them with if you wanted to, but I'll get to that shortly. You can also choose one of your sisters to be wielding a Simulacrum Imperialis, and since acts of faith are very nice things to perform, I would say yes to this option every time. Certainty that that important shot will hit is far better than luck alone, in my opinion. Since neither the assembly guide nor your codex will show you which weapon is which. Why? I don't know. Why? Just tell us. Just tell us. For the superior, this is the power sword, this is the chain sword, and this is not a power maul, but it is instead an icon. There's still a power sword sheathed, so it still counts as a power sword. The kit does not come with a power maul, so if you want to wield one, you can look back to your sacrosancts for an extra 1, since the arm should fit onto the superior just fine, though you may need to limit your other arm's weapon choices, since they are all for the right arm, which will now be holding a power maul. You'll see when you're assembling. Just be wary. My superior is wielding the power sword. I like the power sword just fine. In her other hand, she is wielding the simple but useful bolt gun. On the other hand, you could change your missile weapon to be either the Condemner bolt gun, the Ministorum combi flamer, the combi melta, or the combi plasma. There is what the bolt gun is. You could instead have her wielding a bolt pistol or a plasma pistol. Technically, she could also be wielding an infernal pistol or a Ministorum hand flamer, but these are not present on the sprue. The likelihood of you choosing them over one of the other options though is pretty slim, but I guess you could again look back to the sacrosancts if you wanted one of those, since the superior of the sacrosancts has all of the above. And it would even be on the correct arm with your power maul. There might be a tiny little random hole from where the shield was supposed to be, but you could fill it or painted as if it was always supposed to be there. Now, for the sister that can wield a heavy weapon, and look back to these notes when I mentioned the Celestian and Dominion squad options, you can either choose a heavy bolter, Ministorum heavy flamer, or a multi-melta, except the multi-melta isn't in this kit at all. Haha! To get one, from what I can see, the only multi-meltas around are the two in the Retributor squad. But the Retributor squad also has a power maul, so there's that too if you want to get them. Maybe they have other random weapons. For the sister wielding a special weapon, you can either choose a melty gun, a Ministorum flamer, not to be confused with the heavy flamer, or an artificer crafted storm bolter. There are 4 of each of those weapons in this kit, which is good because if you choose not to go with the Battle Sisters and instead go with the Dominion squad, up to 4 of your sisters can wield special weapons. The Celestians, on the other hand, are not built differently from the Battle Sisters, having the same weapon options amongst them. What makes them different is their helm, which is a little more ornate than the regular Battle Sister helms, so make sure to choose those ones. Unlike the Battle Sisters, where you can put every one of them in a helm if you wish, the Celestians only have 5 of these helms. So the rest of the sisters will have to be using helmetless heads. I like to choose my favorite heads, and when I run out, I go with helms, or it just always goes with helms, except for in this situation. Since I didn't choose any helms for these ladies, I can easily make them Battle Sisters or Celestians, whichever I decide at the time. Celestians have a special ability that allows them to defend characters from attacks, so I keep that in mind when I go to use them in battle. And lastly, and most certainly leastly, because I am biased and don't like cyborg babies, is the Incenser Cherub. It doesn't have any stats. Its model is purely as a marker to whether you have used the sister's ability or not. The guide says to put it on a 32mm base like the sisters are on, but I doubt they actually mean that since they specifically give you a 25mm base for it. But it doesn't particularly matter because in game terms it's not really there, which is why I have no qualms using this pretty bird instead of the creepy baby. Thankfully, the wings piece is mostly separate from the creepy baby, with just a little baby leg to cut away, so you could use the wings anywhere else if you wanted to. Totally up to you. Some people like the creepy babies. I kind of feel like they should be more on the chaos side, but that's me. I don't even want to look up their lore, honestly. No thanks. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, you should press that like button down there so that I know. If you really like the video and want to see more such things like Warhammer videos, you should press the subscribe button if you haven't already. And if you had any questions whatsoever about sisters, or actually I have built every single sister that is currently out. I've built every model that is in the Sisters of Battle, so if you had any questions about Sisters of Battle or Adepta Sororitas models, then you should comment below and ask them, because there may be other people thinking about the same thing. And that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed. I will catch you in the next video. Bye! And yes, look, this is my sister's dress, and a little cute little purity seal that someone gave me, a patron gave me, which I very much enjoy. Okay, bye. Thank you very much to the patrons. Your support allows me to buy these battle forces, for example, so I really appreciate it, so I can make these videos. I hope you have a fantastic Christmas. Anyone who's been with me at least 2 years probably remembers this song, maybe. We daughters of the Emperor all stand before the night. With faith and flames we'll cleanse this world with his all-holy light. We feel no pain, no fear, no doubt, for we can feel his might. Bathed in blood of the fallen we will fight, we will fight. Bathed in blood of the fallen we will fight. Okay, bye.